Okay, friends, then I think we will start. I'm sure there will be some people coming in, but we have an intense program today. So I will just start, and then we can get on with our list of speakers for today. And today it's about addressing a long-standing and highly debated issue in the European Union, which is the welfare of animals kept for fur production. The practice of fur farming has been the subject of repeated scrutiny, not only from the public and from civil society, but also from scientists, veterinarians, and policymakers. And over the past decade, the European Food Safety Authority, EFSA, which we will hear from today, they have been tasked with addressing the welfare of animals in different production systems, and in July this year, EFSA adopted a comprehensive opinion on the welfare of animals kept for fur farming. This opinion marks the first EU-wide scientific evaluation of the conditions under which mink, foxes, chinchillas, and raccoon dogs are kept for fur, and its conclusion is clear. Fur farming fails to provide conditions that meet even the most basic welfare requirements of these species. EFSA highlights that these animals cannot have their behavioral, social, and psychological needs met in intensive cage-based systems. The evidence shows severe welfare problems ranging from stereotypies and injuries to poor health and stress-related disorders. These are not isolated shortcomings, but structural and systemic issues that cannot be resolved through minor adjustments, according to EFSA. This scientific case is therefore unambiguous. Fur farming is inherently incompatible with the welfare of the species concerned. But we will hear from EFSA more about this. They can state it in whatever language they would like to. There's also been a debate in the public around fur farming, and we have seen the Citizens Initiative, a European Citizens Initiative, Fur-Free Europe is its name. It gathered 1.5 million validated signatures calling on the EU to end both fur farming and the trade in farmed fur products. And in response, the European Commission has committed to addressing this demand, and the issue is expected to feature prominently in the forthcoming initiatives of the new Commission. So we look forward to hearing from the Commission when they will be coming out with an initiative. We do consider how to best reflect science and citizens' expectations in the EU legislation. So this Intergroup session provides a timely opportunity to examine the evidence and hear different perspectives. And we have a line of speakers that we look forward to hearing from. I have a couple of announcements before we kick off today's meetings. So I would like to draw the attention first to citizens' concerns on petition 0543 2025 must be heard. Colleagues, I would like to draw your attention to this petition which concerns the killing of stray animals, hunting dogs, and the killing of animals in shelters as a means of population management. Despite gathering close to 70,000 signatures, the Peti Committee has so far declined to pursue this petition further. Citizens are now mobilizing to express their discontent with this decision, and their concerns should not be disregarded. I would therefore strongly urge colleagues who are members of the Peti Committee, and in particular coordinators, to support the reopening of this petition and ensure that it's placed on the agenda of the forthcoming Peti meetings. Then I will move on to a couple of events. I will just advertise here. We have an event, three events actually, Tuesday the 14th of October. The first one is called Non-Animal Testing under the REACH Revision. It's from 12:30 to 2 o'clock. It's organized by Humane World for Animals and hosted by MEP Tilly Metz and myself. And it's a lunchtime roundtable, and it will highlight innovative testing methods and examine how the revision of the REACH regulation can help to phase out animal experiments. So you're most welcome to join this session. You can also contact me because I'm co-hosting if you want to join. Then we have a session, then we have an event called Closing the Loopholes in EU Wildlife Trade Regulations. It's organized by a coalition of NGOs under the umbrella of MEPs for Wildlife and hosted by MEPs Gerben-Jan Gerbrandi, Anja Hazekamp, and Cesar Luena. This event will explore how the EU can strengthen its role in protecting wildlife by addressing current gaps in the legislation. It is from 3 to 5 o'clock in the afternoon, Tuesday the 14th of October. And then the third and final event that day is called Exploring the Future of Food, Cellular Agriculture and the Role of Farmers. It's from 4 to 5:30. It's hosted by the Brussels Times with the support of Gaia, Voice of the Voiceless, and the panel discussion at the Vox Box in the European Parliament will bring together Michel van den Bosch from Gaia, Reineke Hameles from Intergroup for Animals, Ira van Elen from Respect Farms, Annelies Boegaerts, Fishway, Mark Post from Mozambique, as well as Tilly Metz, MEP, and myself. And we will explore the opportunities and challenges of cellular agriculture and its impact on farmers and animal welfare. Then the last event that I will refer to here, that I will advertise, is an event the 15th of October, The True Cost of Fur, very related to our meeting today, an economic analysis of the EU fur industry. It's hosted by MEPs Christian Vikinen from S&D and Sirpa Pietikäinen from the EPP. And this in-person event is organized by the Intergroup for Animals in collaboration with Fur Free Alliance. It will examine the economic, social, and environmental impacts of the EU fur industry, present the findings of a new report on the true cost of fur, and provide a forum for policymakers, experts, and stakeholders to discuss these topics. So now you know, and if you have further questions, you can also, I'm sure, contact Andreas, who from the Intergroup for Animals, who will know all about this event. We will stream this event on Interactio. It will be recorded, and you can watch it on the Intergroup's webpage afterwards. And we have interpretation in English, French, German, Italian, Polish, and Finnish. So you can follow us here. And there are also a lot of people following us online as usual. Great. So we will start now with our presentations, our perspectives on the fur industry. And the first presentation is from EFSA that I referred to. They have made a scientific assessment of animal welfare concerns in the fur industry. They've come with some scientific conclusions and recommendations regarding the welfare of animals kept for fur production. And we have with us Frank Verdonck, Head of Unit, Biological Hazards and Animal Health and Welfare Department of EFSA, and he will join us. And during the question and debate slot, his colleague Marika Vitali will come in and answer some of the questions that might be raised. Mr. Verdonck, we are pleased that you are with us, and you have 10 minutes, and I will be a little bit sharp on the time slots here because we have a number of speakers, and we also need to debate these issues as mentioned. Mr. Verdonck, the floor is yours.
Good morning. I hope you can hear me. I'm not sure if you can see me. Can you hear me? Can you confirm that?
We can hear you. We cannot see you at the moment. And if you can turn on the camera.
Did a test.
Here, now we can see you.
Okay, and
now
the presentation, can the presentation be put on from your side, or otherwise we share the screen from here? Maybe that's the fastest. We don't have the possibility to share it from here, it seems. We have sent our presentation on Tuesday to the organizers.
So, sorry, Mr. Verdonck, I'm told that you will have to present, as we cannot apparently get it on the screen.
Yeah, but we don't have a button to share. Yeah, if there is no activation of a button to share, then I don't think that we are able to show it from our side. It's really a pity because we
We will
provided
just.
this.
You come to the next speaker and we can receive from his side presentation to present from there, because we don't have any.
Okay. Then Mr. Verdonck, I think it's because they don't have the presentation from your side, but maybe if we could put in a speaker before you, 10 minutes, then you send the presentation to us, and then we will have you on the screen, and we will have your presentation, and we can share it. Would that work for you?
We will try, but I think the organizers of this event have it, so I hope they can also help with providing this to the technical.
Okay,
but we will try in parallel.
Mr. Verdonck, we will get back to you and try to solve the problem in the meantime.
Good.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much. Then for now, we will start then with another presentation from Dr. Kati White from SEY Animal Welfare Finland, who will share the veterinary perspective on why fur farming, according to you, failed to meet basic welfare standards. So, dear Dr. White, the floor is yours. 10 minutes, please.
Thank you. Can I have the PowerPoint thing? Okay, while waiting, my name is Kati White. I'm a veterinarian and a CEO of Animal Welfare Finland. I was invited here to speak on behalf of the citizens' initiative Fur Free Europe with 1.5 million signatories and over 80 organizations supporting it. And there are many reasons why fur farming should be banned, but today I'm going to focus on animal welfare and a little bit on us humans too. So we are going to hear the EFSA opinion today. There are no surprises there. Fur farming is not compatible with animal welfare. There are problems such as restriction of movement, inability to explore or forage, inability to do basically anything that would give these animals any positive emotions. Instead, there are unpleasant factors such as tissue lesions, lameness, pain, rough handling, fear, the list goes on, and these animals can't cope. These welfare problems can't substantially be reduced in the farms, but they are strongly linked to the species in question and the cage systems in which the animals are kept in. Now I would need the PowerPoint.
Okay, I think we
to
have the
keep on.
PowerPoint, but could you please put it on? Mm-hmm. Great.
Okay. Well, should I go on rather?
Please, if you will continue, I think.
Okay, yeah. In the slides, I would have a picture of 5 domains model of animal welfare. It has to be noticed that EU Commission has acknowledged the validity of this model, and fur farming fails to meet the basic welfare standards given by this model. The animals, there would be pictures of them, Mink, as a species, it's a solitary semi-aquatic animal living and hunting around water. The territory is around 1 square kilometer, which they use for searching and hunting, both in aquatic and terrestrial environments. In the farms, these animals live in tiny barren cages. According to research and EFSA's report, minks are very motivated to have an access to open water. An absence of open water is related to many of the welfare issues these animals are facing in the farms. And open water can't be replaced by other resources. There would be a video of a mink living in a rescue center. It's next slide. This mink usually has a bigger pool. It has had a wound in his tail, so it's been without water for some time. But now that he got this tiny little pool again, he just wants to be in the water. The next slide, please. Red fox and Arctic fox. In nature, these animals occupy wide territories. They dig for dens and tunnels, but also to hide food. They have complex social lives and family groups. None of this is possible in the fur farms. Next slide. They are kept in individual confinement, unable to dig or jump. They are predisposed to rough handling, and many of these animals experience regular fear. In the next slide, especially the Arctic foxes have been bred ill to obtain as large fur as possible. Many of them have bent feet, huge size, and excessive skin, associated with health problems and painful conditions. Next. Raccoon dogs typically have lifelong partnerships and other complex social behaviors. They spend a lot of time searching for different types of food. Light hibernation is also typical for them. Next. Raccoon dogs are on the Union list of invasive alien species, and Finland and Poland are the only countries still to farm them. These animals have unique characteristics, but there's not much research available on them. It's likely that we don't yet even know all the welfare consequences they are facing in the farms. Their normal behavior is in any case extremely restricted. Our last scientific report made by SCAHO over 20 years ago recommended that raccoon dogs should not be farmed anymore due to lack of knowledge. There still is not enough knowledge, but the farming has been going on all these years, neglecting the recommendation. Next. Chinchilla, they are sensitive, shy animals living in colonies. They can jump up to 1 meter height and horizontally 2 meters. They dig, inhabit burrow systems, search for a variety of plants. In fur farms, next, chinchillas are not able to display their natural behavior. It's leading to frustration and stress. In Finland, it's not legal anymore to farm chinchillas. Since last year, we got the positive list on farmed animals, and chinchilla was excluded from the list. Next. Oh, 2 nexts, please. Next. Often one may believe that fur farming or animal welfare is much better in Europe than elsewhere, but here's pictures from China and Europe, and you can see the systems are essentially the same. Animals live in tiny barren cages, biomass flooring, no chances for any natural behaviors. These animals are suffering whichever the continent. Next. Would it be possible then to have different types of enclosures in which animal welfare would be even on a tolerable level? Based on the discussions I've had with the fur industry, I would say that such enclosures are not realistic from an economical and management point of view. As EFSA reports, it has to be understood that just adding more space and some more resources, it's not enough. There has to be a comprehensive change. It's not acceptable to continue keeping these animals in cages while waiting for systems that are hypothetical and will never exist. There are no alternative systems available so far because they are impossible. In this picture, there's a fox in Finland with enrichment required by legislation, a piece of bone in an otherwise empty cage, and a platform in which the animal can lie crawled, but that's it. Next, please. In Finland, the draft for new regulation on fur animal welfare was just on a round of consultation. The draft included tiny improvements such as adding marginally more space and little more enrichment. And the feedback that the ministry received from experts other than the fur industry themselves was clear. The suggested regulation is not acceptable from animal welfare point of view. It would also be in contrast with Finland's own animal welfare law. Even the Chancellor of Justice of the Government of Finland has questioned the suggested regulation based on its legality. Now, I want to point out that EU has the Farm Animals Directive, which says no animal shall be kept for farming purposes unless it can reasonably be expected it can be kept without detrimental effect on its health or welfare. And based on EFSA's scientific report, fur farming causes detrimental effects on these animals' welfare. Therefore, fur farming should already be considered illegal based on this directive. Next, please. Animal welfare professionals largely agree that fur farming should be ended. Amongst others, the Finnish Veterinary Association strongly opposes cage-based farming on grounds of animal welfare and public health concerns. And today we hear the opinion of the Federation of Veterinarians of Europe. Next. Fur farming is a danger also to our own welfare. According to the Finnish Institute for Health and Welfare, continuing fur farming in its current form poses a continuous risk of creating a pandemic surpassing the severity of the coronavirus. In their statement to the Finnish Parliament last fall, they reminded us that 2 years ago, avian flu spread widely in Finnish fur farms, causing disease in animals and exposing hundreds of workers to a virus with a 50% mortality rate in humans. And 50% mortality rate means that if all of us here would be infected, every other one of us would die. And fur farming, it's just not worth it. Next, please. Citizens don't want fur farming. Large majority of Finnish people don't accept fur farming in current systems, and most would like to see the whole end of fur farming. The ethical concerns of EU citizens are clear. Opinion polls have consistently shown a strong opposition to breeding and killing animals only for their fur. In response to public opinion, many luxury brands and department stores have gone fur-free, and several types of bans have been already introduced in over 20 member states. Next, please. 5 years ago, European Commission committed to banning cages in livestock farming. We strongly believe that this commitment must now be extended to fur animals. We, European citizens, and the Fur-Free Europe network call on this House to urge the European Commission to prohibit fur farming and the import of farmed fur products into the EU. We need Europe to show here global leadership. This ban should be made as soon as possible for animal welfare, but also for other reasons, such as the safety of ourselves and our children. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kati White. Very clear and with a lot of information. And you will stay with us for further questions if they will come. We will now try with going back to the EFSA perspective, and I think we have solved the presentation problem. I hope so. Mr. Verdonck, if you are with us, then we will turn to you.
Good morning again. Can you hear me?
Good morning. Yes, the sound is not so loud, but maybe we can turn up the volume. Just 1 second, Mr. Verdonck. We're just working on it. And now we have your presentation, I can see. I think if you stay with us, Mr. Verdonck, thank you very much. Okay, where are we technically?
Okay, now it's fine.
Great, all right. Then, Mr. Verdonck, you will have 10 minutes. We're very happy that you are here, and thank you for your patience.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and dear honorable members of the Parliament and dear participants. Thank you for inviting EFSA and being present in the room and connected online to hear about EFSA's work on the scientific opinion on the welfare of animals kept for fur production. Next slide, please. So this assessment regards 5 different species: the American mink, the rat and the Arctic fox, the raccoon dog, and the chinchilla. These are 5 species that have in common that they are used for the production of fur and fur products. But they are different in their biology, and this means that they also will have different welfare needs, as we will explain afterwards. Coming back to the background of the mandate that we received from the European Commission is that at the moment there is only one legal text available to protect the welfare of animals kept for fur production, and this is the General Animal Protection Directive from '98. There is a lack of specific legislation, except there is the non-legally binding Council recommendation from 1999. And as you already heard in the introduction from the chair and also from the previous presentation, the background also of this mandate is that of the European Citizen Initiative on Fur-Free Farming, where the Commission wanted to respond, and in this regard, they wanted to have the scientific input from EFSA. Next slide, please. In this assessment, we also established an engagement plan that you can see here. So we started off with having a stakeholder meeting back in January 2024, where we had involvement of industry, people from the scientific area, NGOs, but also representation from international institutions. That was followed up by a stakeholder call, in fact, 4 different calls where stakeholders were requested to provide data that we thought would be relevant for our assessment, and we asked the stakeholders really to submit data that were not already published in the scientific literature. Then in March, you can see there under point 3, a networking meeting is what we organized as a dialogue with the member states to also request information from them. Then in autumn last year, you can see that we did field visits, one to Poland and another one to Denmark in person there visiting farms. And then we were also involved in an EC audit of Finland where we connected online. Then in December last year, we had an ad hoc technical hearing inviting people from the stakeholders who submitted data in our call for evidence to explain to the working group additional information about the data they provided and some questions we had around this. And then the last step is still to come, a public webinar that is coming up on the 29th of September. You can still subscribe to that, where colleagues will go into a little bit more the detail of the work, and where there will also be a possibility to ask questions to staff and experts. So please, you can subscribe to that event still. In the next slide, you can see that we had two outputs related to this mandate. In the first one, there is a technical report where we did a description of the biology of those 5 different species, also the production cycle and the farming practices that are currently used for these species. And then the last but very important component is also the description of the housing systems. When you read our outputs, and if we refer to the current husbandry systems, we refer to what we describe in this technical report. Second output is the scientific opinion, and that is really the welfare assessment that we did. So there we started with identification of scenarios. So this means that we identified a production phase, the stage of the animal. Then we connected this with the relevant farming practices for that stage in the production, and then also we linked it with the husbandry system that is used in that phase. And this together, these components, then create a scenario. We did that for all the 5 species, and then for all these scenarios, we asked the experts to select the 5 most relevant welfare consequences. And this is based on estimation of the severity, the duration, the frequency of these various scenarios. So it might be that for a scenario we had more than 5 welfare consequences, but then the expert selected the most relevant one on the parameters as just described. Then we described the hazards related to each of the welfare consequences. And then quite importantly is the identification of mitigation measures that on one hand could perhaps prevent the welfare consequences, or on the other hand, substantial mitigation measures that could markedly reduce the risk of experiencing adverse effects or reducing their severity. As a last point, then we also describe the uncertainties, and in this area we have quite some uncertainties, mainly related to the lack of information, certainly on alternative farming systems, because they are not existing, they are not used in the current industry production system. Furthermore, on raccoon dogs and chinchilla in general, there is very limited information available. Based on all these steps, then the experts came to the conclusions for each of the different scenarios. Next slide, please. Here you can see what are the main welfare consequences that we have detected across the different species. There are 3. The first one is the restriction of the movement. So there is not enough room for the animals to really move freely around. The second one is the inability to perform exploratory and foraging behavior. And the last one is sensorial under or over stimulation. So either there is too little or too much sensory stimulation available. And all these welfare consequences mainly relate to 2 elements. On one hand, the size of the cages, as you can see in the pictures below. For instance, the second one from the left, you can see here mink, who are normally very active species, but they just do not have the space to put that into practice. Second main reason are barren conditions. Yes, please stay a moment on this slide. Related to handling stress, for instance, that can cause fear and negative affective stage, and they are linked to essential production procedures. For instance, the handling related to artificial inseminations in foxes and raccoon dogs. You can see on the picture at the right that sometimes there are tools used for the animals to fix them in a certain position, and that can give handling stress. Next slide, please. Most of the welfare consequences that we have identified, they cannot be prevented or substantially mitigated by the current husbandry systems that are in place. And this is mainly due to the limited space that is available in the cages. So if we want to mitigate the welfare consequences, then it means that we need to do a change to the current husbandry system. And it's clear there should be an increase in the size to provide sufficient three-dimensional space to the animals. But it's not only the space, because we also need to enrich the environment to increase the complexity, to incorporate structures and resources into their environment. This will then allow fundamental behaviors like sustained locomotority, activity, exploration, foraging, and vigilance. And you can see on the slide some examples. For instance, providing solid floors, not just wire mesh, so that the animals can choose. The provision of platforms so that the animals can better move around, but also go on elevated platforms and have a bit of overview of what is around them. Or to provide hiding spots or stimulating environment that the animals have something to do. Digging spots for foxes, for instance, or also the provision of open water for mink. Next slide, please. There are, however, some welfare consequences that can be substantially mitigated into the present current husbandry system, and these are the ones mainly related to inadequate feed and nutrition. Some examples are, for instance, the welfare consequence related to the inability to chew can be prevented by the provision of chewable resources or changes to the texture of the feed provided. A system of feed delivery that favors natural feeding postures will also stimulate the foraging behavior. And a last example, the changes in
Mr.
feed.
Verdonck, we
Yeah,
are running out of time, so just for your
okay.
information.
I hurry up then maybe, and I will. We can go to the conclusion slide. I think the participants can also look at the other two slides that are provided, where for each of the different species we give a main welfare consequence and also suggested substantial mitigation measures. So here for mink and chinchilla, and then next slide it will be for red foxes, fox raccoon dogs, and raccoon dogs, but people can read it afterwards. So let's move to the last conclusion slide. With the key messages, I think I already gave them. That across the different species that we were asked to look in, limited improvements can be done in the current husbandry system. So if you want to substantially mitigate the welfare consequences, then you need to improve the space allowance for the animals and also create a more stimulating environment. We also are faced with a lack of data that is difficult for EFSA to really provide more quantitative information on suggestions that can be done on how to further improve the enclosures that we have today. I will close with this. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Very interesting findings. As you mentioned, the slides, they will be available also online, and so we can read them and study them further. Our last speaker for today, Alice Diana, Policy Officer at the Federation of Veterinarians of Europe.
Hello, can you hear me and see me?
We can hear you and see you.
Brilliant. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the floor. Colleagues and participants, we really appreciate this opportunity given to as veterinarians to speak on this topic. If we can move to the first slide, please. I'll try to be time sensitive. So for those who are not familiar with FVE, it stands for the Federation of Veterinarians of Europe, and we represent the veterinary profession in Europe, where our members are the national veterinary associations and chambers, and through them, FVE represents over 330,000 veterinarians in 39 countries. Today, I will present our draft position on a phase-out of fur farming across Europe, which is in line with EFSA's recently published opinion, which we just heard on. and which went through extensive member consultation and now awaits final approval from our board and members after vote at our General Assembly. Next slide, please. So as veterinarians, our mission is not only animal health and welfare, but also public health and environmental protection, where fur farming raises concerns on all three fronts. When assessed through the One Health and One Welfare lens, fur farming is disproportionate and unjustifiable. Next slide, please. Starting from the animal welfare concerns, as it's the focus of today's meeting, animal welfare, animals bred for fur, as in Europe we've seen minks, foxes, raccoon dogs, and chinchillas, are wild or semi-wild, and they have behavioral and physiological needs that cannot be met in conventional farming conditions. I won't go over what has been already discussed more in detail, but decades of bear and war cages have failed to meet the basic standards, both under the 5 freedoms or 5 domains model. We've heard before from previous experts that their welfare is gravely compromised and often affects these animals' health too. Public opinion is also clear, and fur is seen as unnecessary and inhumane, as most EU citizens support a ban. Next slide, please. Across Europe, we've seen that the national measures are actually ahead of EU policy, and through insight from our national members, we've mapped the situation at their level. This will be presented in our statement's annex, and you can see the beginning of it on the screen. We've noted that 17 member states have already bans in place and have severe restrictions. Next slide, please. Moving to the One Health risks, if we start from the human-animal interface, fur farming is already a proven and known risk to both animal and human health. COVID-19 outbreaks in mink farms showed transmissions to humans who were directly working with these animals, and more recently, highly pathogenic avian influenza H5N1 outbreaks in fur farms in both Spain and Finland again highlighted the risk of this practice. Despite heavy biosecurity investments and constant adjustments of the systems, farms remain persistent zoonotic reservoirs. Next slide, please. Looking then at the environmental impact, escaped American minks from European farms have now become invasive in 28 European countries. These animals prey on native fauna and have contributed to the decline of our native European mink, which is now considered as critically endangered. This contributes to destabilizing ecosystems and has the potential to spread parasites and diseases to wildlife. Importantly, the EU has already recognized this by adding the American mink to its invasive species list, with a ban in place from 2027. Next slide, please. Coming to FE's position, FE calls for a coordinated phase-out. We support a legally enacted EU-wide phase-out within the next decade, combined with a ban on placing fur and fur products on the EU market, a ban on imports from outside the EU, and support for rural livelihoods, transition periods, and investment in alternatives. All this to ensure fairness, predictability, and sustainability. Next slide, please. In conclusion, fur farming presents significant challenges in terms of animal welfare, public health, and biodiversity. Current practices appear increasingly difficult to reconcile with European policy priorities and societal expectations. So FE calls on the European Union's policymakers to lead a coordinated, evidence-led transition away from fur farming. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Diana. Very clear. And now we will go on to the part where we can have comments, questions from members. If there are any comments, questions for any of the speakers, or if you want to voice a perspective, feel free to do so. Sirpa, you raised your hand.
Thank you for all of our presenters for very enlightening presentations. And I think that we were already and now are pretty clear that these conditions are not supportive and sustainable for animals' welfare. But okay, let's see then some of the further steps and to clarify and understand it as a politician. Firstly, Do I get it right that if you really would like to meet the welfare requirements of these animals, basically the minimum standards would be the same that's in a zoo, for example? You don't contain in a smaller or bigger cages. The animals do have a space to have their, even though it is a very limited area anyway, to exercise their natural behaviors and to choose whether to be out and in and whatever that is. And basically, shouldn't then the fur farming, in theory, if it would exist, be in these standards? And this leads to a second question, because we do have a lot of discussion in EU and in some of our member states about, well, we create a next standard so that the fur farming is sustainable. Can we achieve it? And now I understood that the latest developments are in Finland on developing the standards and legislation about fur farming. What could you comment about what is under preparation? Are you heard on it? What is the scale of improvement? I understand probably not this kind of a wild raising, free-range raising is not planned. And can overall these standards even fairly be met by just sort of fixing the cage size? Thank you.
Thank you, Sirpa. Then I will give the floor to Christoph. And I know, Christoph, you've been working also on an oral question that maybe you want to tell us something about.
Yeah, thank you so much, Neil. And it is not a question to our experts. It's rather the update. What are we going as an intergroup? So before the summer break, 36 of us came together and we supported the oral question to the Commission on banning the farming. I'm honored to lead this initiative, and thank you so much for your support, and to everyone who signed the initiative. We will submit the written question in the coming days, so it will remain valid for the next 5 plenary sessions. Our question is very simple. It goes like that: breeding animals solely for fur, it's outdated and ethically indefensible. Across Europe, 22 member states have already banned or effectively ended this practice. Switzerland has gone farther, banning imports of fur produced under cruel conditions. Citizens too have spoken loudly. Fur-free Europe gathered over 1.5 million signatures in support of the ban. And just this summer, EFSA confirmed that we will all know what we all know: the welfare problems in fur farming are structural and cannot be fixed. The complex needs of mink, foxes, raccoon dogs, and chinchillas simply cannot be met in these systems. That is why we are asking the Commission to use the ongoing revision of the EU animal welfare legislation to propose an EU-wide ban on fur farming and prevent farmed fur products, including imports, from entering our single markets. So, colleagues, I urge you to support this initiative in the Conference of Presidents. This is really crucial to reach our goals of this intergroup, and I hope that together we will make an important step forward. So this is an announcement. What are we going to do in upcoming days, weeks, and months? Thank you so much.
Very good, Christoph. And then the question will be submitted shortly, one of these days, you say?
Yeah, the question will be submitted soon, and it will remain valid for 5 plenary sessions here in Strasbourg. So I hope that before, let's say December, Christmas, we will have a chance to have this discussion at the plenary.
So basically, we could all talk with our presidents of our groups, because it's the Conference of Presidents.
Yeah. So we need to talk to our presidents, our group, to support this initiative when it will be discussed at the COP.
Great. Thank you very much. Thank you. I hope you will take note of that, so that we can get it on the plenary, basically.
So just information that the question will be submitted on 22nd of September in 11 days. Yeah. Right.
Good to know. Thank you.
Thank you.
Valerie, you have raised your hand.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le Président, chers collègues.
Thank you, Chairman. Dear colleagues, I find it surprising that in 2025 we are still talking about the rearing of animals for fur. That, is completely outdated. It's very cruel as I see it. France, the country that I represent, was in the vanguard on this because they banned this practice back in 2021. The last mink rearing in Bourgogne-Franche-Comté, my region, was closed down, and we impose on our farmers, be it intensive or extensive farming, that animal welfare rules, very strict rules, have to be abided by. Luckily, I welcome that, but how can we then justify imposing those types of rules on farmers and citizens when we actually tolerate fur farming, when there's no real need for it? It's simply farming for profit. There's no food need behind it, and therefore we can simply do without it. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup pour cette explication. And then, Monsieur, could you introduce yourself, please?
Yes, good morning. My name is Verdonck. I am an MEP also. First of all, I wanted to thank you for the initiatives that you take. I think it's very important, and I'm very grateful actually also for the presentations that we heard today. I don't know where to find the presentations now, the slides, I have no idea, but I would be most grateful if I also could get them, because I think that we should unite our forces to support these initiatives. I don't know whether it's still time to co-sign such a question. I don't know. I would be grateful if I could do that too. And it would be, I think, also useful for political discussions to know something about the size of the industry within the European Union, what it really represents from the economic point of view in terms of employment, in terms of turnover, just that we are prepared also for discussions whether this is an economic impact or not, or what it would mean if we would go for forbidding that kind of industry, which I personally would support, of course. But within a political discussion, it might be useful for us to have more information on the size of the industry and what it really represents. Thank you very much.
Okay, very relevant, and maybe our speakers can come back to that. And I think I'll just tell you that the slides and the presentations will be online on the Intergroup for Animal Welfare's webpage, so you can find it there. Sakis, you raised your hands.
To everybody, I'm coming from Greece. And we have serious problems with minks, as we've heard before. In the region of Kastoria, in northwestern part of Greece, I don't know if many of you know that we don't have only islands, but a lot of mountains. The last couple of years, we have an uncontrolled presence of farmed mink, and they have escaped, and some of them were released to the forests, spreading around villages, wetlands, and near the lake of Kastoria. Local communities have reported that the problem has become more serious than ever, because we've heard, and we had some kind of a case, that one mink entered a house in a village near Kastoria and bit one elderly woman. She was very, very sick, and bit her hand so badly that she had to amputate parts of her hand while she had to go to the hospital in Thessaloniki. So the thing is that I don't know what we can do, what are the solutions, because as we've heard, not only this part of Greece has these problems, but it's spreading around in another northern part of Greece. As we heard, and that's what I want to underline, is that the problems, if we don't find a solution, are going to be immense in the coming 2 or 3 years, definitely in all parts of Europe, and especially also in the western part of Greece. Thank you.
Thank you, Sakis, for sharing that story. That sounds horrible. I will now turn back to the presenters. We don't have so much time, so they will have 2 minutes each. Sorry, Christian, you had a...
Thank you. Just very briefly, one sentence, also as a response to what Sakis mentioned. I would like to tell you that this year, the last mink farm was closed in Bulgaria, and it was thanks to the initiative of the minister. The reasons to do that was that it is endangering the biodiversity. So probably this kind of approach can be used also in Greece. I don't know, but I think it's a good solution to this issue. And maybe I see Joe is smiling, but maybe I just want to remind you that we, together with SIRPA, we're hosting an event on 15th of October. You'll get all the invitation and the reminder. It's again on the title of the event is The True Costs of Fur, an Economic Analysis of the EU Fur Industry. So there will be a follow-up of that. And thank you, Niels, for organizing this interesting discussion today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's good to also hear from Bulgaria that we can share the developments. Mr. Verdonck, if you want to come back at any of the comments here, you are most welcome to do so. I can only give you 2 minutes as we are coming to the closing. But Frank Verdonck, I don't know if you're with us still. In that case,
yes. Can you hear me?
We can. So
yeah,
please,
I can reply very briefly to the question on the standards, and here I try to make this clear in my conclusions. We are struggling with a lack of information on the farming of these species, so it's clear the space allowance needs to be larger, but we know only that 2 times, for instance, enlarging will not be enough. But there is no scientific data available to indicate if it would be 3 times needed or 5 times or even more. So that is a bit the problem that we have at the moment, that from the scientific perspective, we cannot be very clear in the recommendations on how to improve the welfare and have standards on this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Verdonck. And then Dr. Kati White, if you want to come back at any of the questions. Sirpa, for example, had some.
Yes, please. Also 2 minutes.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. The safest options definitely would be to ban the whole fur farming, also based on the public health concerns. But certainly these animals would need a variety of things to do, which is not possible in small cages or small enclosures. In Finland, the new regulation, there's a suggestion. The foxes used to have a little bit less than 1 square meter space in the cage, and according to the new regulation, there would be a little more than 1 square meter. So it's a really tiny change, and now they have 1 piece of bone, and with the next regulation, they would have a piece of bone and a piece of wood, such. So it's ridiculous, really. And the new regulation has been made pretty much hand in hand with the fur industry. It's been over 10 years process, and yeah, it's not good. Then about the size of the industry, Finland is definitely one of the biggest fur farmers. There used to be thousands of farms, but nowadays I think the last figure is somewhere around 300 farms. So it has been like dramatically going down, as well as the employment and financial figures. But there will be another event in Brussels about these financial issues later. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. White. We will have to close here. I don't know if very short comment.
Bonjour, donc Christophe Marie de la Fondation.
Christophe Marie, 3,000 Friends. Now that's the foundation. There's no Commission representative here today, but what I wanted to ask whether EFSA's opinion will be integrated into the review of the provisions on animal welfare, or can we expect a specific text on fur farming and trade in fur and raising of animals, wild animals for fur purposes? So can we expect 2 distinct texts, or will there be a more general text on animal husbandry?
To let that question float, because we have to come to a close now. So I would like to thank everybody for contributing. It's been a very interesting discussion, and good to hear that initiatives are going on that we can support and push this development further on. The next meeting will be the 9th of October, so next month, same place, same time. I'll see you around. Thank you.